Hi everybody, it's Tanae. It's March 2023 to be exact, which means that this month is officially my 10-year artist anniversary. I became an artist back in March of 2013, and I thought it would just be kind of fun and cool to just talk about what my 10-year journey has been so far, what I've accomplished in 10 years as an artist, different things that I went through, how I grew and everything. And I think it's kind of funny just like how I've come so far and I'm still like nowhere close to where I want to be. But progress, that's all that matters. Progress. I'm gonna go through the timeline of the past 10 years for y'all. So we're starting in 2013. That's when I started drawing. I was 20 years old. I was in a college class. I already told this story on YouTube, so if you want to hear the full story of how I began drawing at 20 years old, I will link it in the pinned comments below. I'll have everything linked there. So yeah, started drawing in college at 20 years old. I then left that college and went to Columbia College Chicago to pursue a degree in audio arts and acoustics. I wanted to learn how to produce music. So I wasn't even going for drawing, but during this time, I actually exclusively started doing portraits. So that was probably only a few months after I started drawing, I decided that I was a portrait artist. That's what I enjoyed doing the most. That's what I felt I was really good at. And so I just drew a different portrait like almost every day, maybe like every other day, and sometimes multiple times a day. So I'm just drawing, practicing, honing my craft, getting better. I actually sold my first print on Etsy in like I want to say the fall of 2013, and y'all, it was so bad. Like I was so once people started showing interest in my art and talking about how they would pay for it, I was just like, oh shit, I can make money from this. Let me start selling it. But I was too busy thinking about selling it and like posting it online for sale and everything. I didn't even think about the fact that I have to learn how to package this stuff. I have to ship this from my home. And I don't know how to do that. I've never shipped anything before. I've never packed anything to ship before. I've never made a print before. And I didn't have any knowledge of like art prints. And I literally, the piece that I sold was my Miley Cyrus drawing. And I scanned it, put it on my computer. I over saturated and just made it super dark with like levels and stuff in Photoshop. It was so bad. And then I printed it on a piece of glossy photo paper, like super glossy photo paper. It was a little 8.5 by 11 inch print. Terrible. And then I started looking around my room once I realized after I printed out that I didn't have nothing to pack it in. I literally put it inside of I think a brown envelope with 2 pieces of cardboard that I cut off of a cardboard box, and stuck it between that, and then wrapped it in like some plastic wrap or something, like saran wrap, put it inside the brown envelope, and I shipped it like that to this person. And like when I think about it now, I feel so bad. I actually messaged them years and years later on Etsy. I went back and found them in my orders, my one order from Etsy, and I was just like, hey, I sent you a terrible ass print back in 2013. I would like to make it up to you. You can order any print you want for free from my shop, and I will ship it out to you for free. But I don't think she was active anymore at that point, or she just ignored me. But yeah, because I felt so fucking bad. It was just bad. So anyway, after that whole situation, I decided to make my own shop. So I created my first online shop. I did it on a website called Ticktail. Is Ticktail still a thing? I don't know. I've never heard of anybody else using it, but it was something that I found that was inexpensive. And so I was using Ticktail. I remember the little banner that I had on my website and everything. I don't think I sold anything the whole time I was on TikTok. Maybe like 1 or 2 things, maybe. But I was definitely getting ahead of myself, like worried about sales and not so much like creativity and marketing and branding and stuff. However, I did get my first ever commission in October of that year. It was a guy who actually went to Columbia with me. He sat next to me in my French class. He commissioned a picture of him and his girlfriend, and that experience is what kind of made me come up with my commission guidelines and everything, because he was one of those customers that messages you constantly, like, is it done yet? How's it going? Did you do it? You know, constantly. And I was only making him pay me $30 for this portrait. So it's like, calm down. So yeah, after that, my commission guidelines were created, written out, and I started sending that to everybody who wanted a portrait from me. So now in 2014, I actually began to educate myself on prints. I started ordering my prints from a website. I can't remember the first website I got them from, but I didn't like their prints. They were like kind of like photo prints, like glossy but with like graininess to it. And they would come like, they were the kind of material you can roll up like a poster. In March of 2014, I began picking up color pencils. I was so tired of black and gray, and I needed some color in my life. And I was like, might as well start with color pencils since I already use pencils anyway. I was using graphite pencils. I had dabbled in charcoal pencils. So I was like, color pencils are the next best thing. Let's see, I started using them in March of 2014, and I felt like I had mastered them by like July or August. But I'm gonna say by November. But I feel like I picked up color pencils so much quicker than graphite, and I just enjoyed it so much more. I was still using graphite, but I definitely enjoy color pencil more. I feel like I'm much better with color than I am with black and gray. Also in 2014, I actually bought a DSLR camera. It's the one I'm recording on right now. That's so funny because it's been so fucking long. I'm still using this thing, but whatever, it still works, right? I bought this camera in 2014, and my goal was to start recording myself doing drawings, because part of one of the methods that I used to get better at my drawing and my shading and my blending and everything was watching other artists draw on YouTube. And I was like, I want to record myself drawing too. So I got the camera. I actually ended up starting this YouTube channel with my very first art video, which was of Laurent Bourgeois of Les Twins. And it wasn't a time-lapse drawing like everything else, but you know, I photographed my progress and everything because I didn't have a tripod yet. But I photographed my progress, and that was the first video I uploaded after I met him and Larry in June of that year. And you know, I was a part of their fandom back then, and so I posted it on Tumblr, and everybody in their fandom that followed me blew it up, and it got really popular, and it got me a lot of likes and subscribers immediately on my channel. So that was great for me. I also gave that portrait to Laurent, and he later posted Snapchats of him like at his mom's house in France, and it was hanging up on the wall. And I was like, people were sending it to me, and I was like, okay, because it wasn't really that great of an experience when I gave it to him. I assumed he didn't like it or something, so the fact that it was hanging up made me feel better about that. Also in 2014, I actually started Black Artist Space. I don't remember what month. I feel like it was August, like late summer type, somewhere around in there. I started Black Artist Space, not thinking that it was gonna turn into anything like what it turned into. I was just posting art. I was just posting people's art. But more on that later. So now we're in 2015. Anybody who was on Tumblr back in 2015, in March of that year was the very first blackout day. That used to be a thing. I'm pretty sure it's not a thing anymore, but it was something that had been planned, and everybody knew it was gonna happen and was prepared for it. It was just a day for Black people to like post themselves and us like share each other's beauty and photos and everything with the world. The majority of people that posted were posting their selfies, and I just came up with this idea to post, like I wanted to post my selfies, pictures of me, but I also wanted to somehow get my art involved so that my art would be circulating as well, because people were getting like thousands of notes and stuff on their posts. So I did this little photo shoot where I just posed with my art, and that post blew up. It went viral on Tumblr. it was the most popular post I've ever had on any social media platform ever, except YouTube. And I mean, it got like over 80,000 notes, and it was like happening fast, like overnight. Like my friends hitting me up like, did you see, like, oh my god, now it has this many notes, like, and people, it probably got like over 2,000 comments and just people sharing it. And that month ended up being the most money I've ever made from art so far in my career. I got so many commissions from that, and then I got some print sales, and then I also did a giveaway that got a whole lot of attention, and I gained about 10,000 followers on Tumblr, which was a lot for Tumblr back then, at least. And I had like 80 messages in my inbox when I woke up. I had like 25 emails. It was just like, I couldn't believe it. The following month, April 2015, someone reached out to me about purchasing my Gong portrait, which is a color pencil portrait of Bob and Damian Marley together. And that was something that was like really near and dear to my heart. I knew I needed money and I needed to sell my art, but I really didn't want to sell that piece. It was just so much, what's the word? Like, I just felt really, I didn't want to sell it. So I was like, okay, I'll post it for sale, but I'm gonna make it super expensive so nobody will buy it. So I posted it for sale for $2,200. And it's just 11 by 14 inch color pencil portrait, about that big. And somebody bought it. And I was like, nah. The girl reached out to me and told me she wanted to buy it. And when I confirmed the price with her, she was just like, okay, sending the money over. And I'm like, nah. And then she sent it, and I the money cleared, and it was in my bank account. And I was just like, did this really just happen? It's the first original piece of art I've ever sold, and the most expensive piece of art I've ever sold to this day. I've never even gotten close to selling something for that much, and I still really can't believe it. Anyway, moving on. After that, I then switched to Finer Works as the company that I was getting my prints made from. They make really nice archival matte art prints because I like them matte. I like them on that like thick white paper that you can't really roll. And I started drop shipping my prints through them. Still love their prints. The prints I make now, I actually that was me trying to get the quality of their art prints. So my prints are just like their archival matte prints if you use Finer Works. Also, late 2015 in October, I went through the worst heartbreak of my life. Still haven't been through anything like this before. And it turns out that this guy, he was like a muse for me. He was somebody that I wrote poetry about, which I never fucking do. wrote poetry about, wrote about in my books. Like, you know, he inspired characters in my books. And I actually drew his portrait 3 different times. So in October, after, you know, this heartbreak, it was the second time we had ended things, but it was for good this time. And I actually ripped up all of the portraits I had done of him, and it was so healing. Like, it made it so much easier to get over him, because the first time we broke up was like a movie breakup, like just super depressed for months. It was bad. And this time it was so easy to just get over him, even though what he did was so much worse. And I really think that just destroying those portraits of him kind of helped. And that is the first and last time that I ever destroyed a piece of art that I created. But then came 2016, which was the year I was like, it was, you know, they say 23 is the worst year of your life. It was the worst year of my life, 2016. So in 2016, I experienced what I call my first ever art lull. I was getting so many commissions, but I was just so depressed that I was only able to complete, I think, 2 I did, and the other ones I eventually I had to cancel on them and send them their money back and just let them know, like, I'm just not even able to do this right now. And they were understanding, but it was just hard for me because I didn't know how to pull myself out of it. And it really sucked because I actually really did need money. A huge reason why I was depressed is because I was working every day and working overtime and still not being able to make enough money to take care of myself, because I was living in Wisconsin and I didn't have a car, so I'm paying for Ubers. I'm really going to work just to make money to pay for Ubers to go to work. So I ended up going into debt paying for Ubers just to get to work. And so I really needed money, and I couldn't even do the thing that I needed to do in order to make money because I was so fucking depressed. I cannot art when I'm sad or depressed or angry. Like, I can't draw, I should say. If I'm angry or depressed, I can make some poetry, but I can't draw. I draw when I'm happy, when I'm content, when I'm feeling good, you know, when I'm inspired, when I see beauty, and when somebody's making me happy, you know. That's what my visual art comes from. Later in 2016, I did end up getting out of that situation, and I moved back to Chicago, and I found a much better job making more money for more hours, and I was happy again. But because I was away from home 10 hours a day, I did not have the energy to draw once I got home. I was working second shifts. I was working from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., getting home at 12 a.m., and then having to eat, shower, and then try to find the energy to work on art. So I was able to do it maybe 2 days out of the week, but definitely not enough where I could run an art business, let alone a successful art business. So it was tough. But in 2017, you know, the great thing about making money from a full-time job is that you can spend it on things that you need for your business. So for the first time, I was able to really, really invest in myself as an artist. 2017, I created a brand new website with Wix. So it wasn't just a shop anymore. It was a full-blown website with a blog that I would write in. I would post my tutorials on there. I would post giveaways on there. I had my commission guidelines set up on there. And I also, in addition, had an art gallery and my art shop, and, you know, a little about the artist page. So that was when I created that. That's the one that's still running today, Briana.com. I love my website. It's so me. In addition to that, I also bought a wide format printer, and in 2017, I began manufacturing my own art prints and my stickers. So I did some research, and I decided to buy the Epson Artisan 1430, which is no longer being produced. So if you wanted it, you could get it for like 2,000 and something on Amazon. I only paid 300 and something for it, but they do have like a newer version of it. It has a completely different name, but I can link that below for anybody who is interested in that. But that's what Epson considers like the next generation of my printer. So don't pay 2,000 something dollars for the Artisan 1430. That was like a major step in my art career for me, because now I'm not having to pay someone else to make my things for me, and I'm becoming more self-sufficient, which is a huge thing for me. I don't like to have to depend on anybody else for anything. After that, in the middle of 2017 or like fall 2017, I started learning another new medium, which was chalk pastels. I had been watching chalk pastel time-lapse videos on YouTube, and to me it was like the closest thing to making a piece that kind of simulated oil paintings. I was watching this girl, she was using chalk pastels, but she wasn't drawing on paper. She was using them on ampersand pastel board, and it made it like come to life so much more. You could add so much more layers, and it looked like a painting, and I was like, oh my god, that's exactly the look that I'm going for. That's what I want to be able to do. So I went on Blick website and just found the cheapest chalk pastels that I could, just in case I ended up not liking it. So I got some Derwent pencils, and then eventually I got some Prismacolor new pastels, and that's what I used to create all my chalk pastel pieces. Chalk pastel was even easier to learn than color pencil was. Like, it just came so easy, and it was just so fun from the beginning. And I was just like, I'm definitely more of a color artist. I like black and gray is so bland and boring to me. I actually stopped drawing in graphite and charcoal completely after I learned chalk pastel. 2017 was actually like a big year for me as far as art, because just so many things changed, and I actually stopped using grid lines in 2017. I didn't always use grid lines. For the first year and a half that I drew, I freehanded everything, and then after I saw like just how terrible my proportions were, in the middle of like learning color pencil, I was just like I saw my Beyonce portion. I was just like, this is so bad. What am I seeing? Because I'm not seeing what's in front of me. It was just like my proportions were so bad, and I lost a lot of confidence in myself as an artist. So I was just like, forget it, I'ma just start using grid lines. If that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. So I would draw a grid on every sheet of paper, every drawing that I did from the middle of 2014 until the fall of 2017. When I started using chalk pastels, I got the courage to try to freehand again. So I figured my face would be a safe place to start. I didn't want to draw like a celebrity and then have people telling me like, that don't look shit like him, So I drew my 2017 self-portrait. That was the first thing I freehanded after 3 years of using a grid, and it was perfection. So then I got the confidence to do a celebrity after that, and then I freehanded my Jay Park portrait, and it was even better than my portrait, and I was just like, I'm back. Ever since then, I have freehanded all of my art, no more grid lines. This was also the year that I started coming up with my own art style. I really wanted to branch out like with my creativity. I didn't want to just draw celebrities and real people anymore. I wanted to draw from my imagination. So I started doing these color pencil portraits with like these big heads and little bodies and like kind of exaggerated features, almost like a caricature style, but more like cartoonish. No, I should not say more cartoonish. I should say less cartoonish, actually. And so I was developing my style, and I was using myself as a reference to draw people that didn't really exist, and like throwing in different props and stuff. I had never like added things into the portrait before, and just coming up with different stuff. So my creativity was starting to like develop more. I wasn't just drawing anymore. I was actually starting to feel like I was a real artist. Okay, so things like developments slowed down, tremendously after 2017. Nothing changed in 2018. I was just doing the same stuff that I started doing in 2017. But in 2019 is when I started to really get into nude and semi-nude figure drawing. So I had drawn my breast before, and I had drawn other like pictures with the boobs exposed. But this year 2019 was when I like really got into it. I was drawing like different parts of the body other than the breast. I drew the butt, I drew the vagina. I did different angles, and it was really just because I was inspired by my own nudes that I had sent, my boos over the years. I was like, this should be a painting. And so I turned it into chalk pastel paintings, and they got rave reviews. It turns out people really like sexual art. 2 months after that, I quit my full-time job and I became a full-time freelance artist. So I was running that full-time, and I was doing Black Artist Space full-time. Now at this point, Black Artist Space is pretty huge, and it was only going to get bigger the next year, 2020. In 2019, things was just going so well, and it was before I had like really turned it into, I never really looked at it as a way to make money for real. At this point, I think I was only making money from like line skip fees. I didn't have none of the other stuff that I ended up creating, like the print shop, or accepting money for advertisements or selling merch, or doing working with other media. And I wasn't, none of that stuff was like even in my brain at that point. But it was like, now I'm working it full time, along with my art. I need to be able to make money from it. But I just had to I had to get creative. I had to come up with ways to make money from it without charging people for features, because that was the whole goal of Black Artist Space, is so that Black artists could get their work featured on a large platform without having to pay an arm and a leg. In 2020, I took my color pencil work to another level. I feel like you can really notice the difference in my 2020 and like late 2019 color pencil work compared to anything I did before that. It just changed. Like I said, it got more creative, it got more realistic, more defined, more colorful and vibrant, and just better. It was just better. I also started drawings to doze off to in 2020. So this is pandemic year. So I was bored, actually. I was bored with the things that I was posting on YouTube. Wasn't really into doing tutorials anymore. I just felt like I had done all the tutorials I could do at that point. And I actually started drawings to doze off to as like, it was really me like kind of doing a parody of Bob Ross. And people actually ended up really liking it. So I was like, maybe I should do it for real. And I turned it into a series. And so Drawings to Doze Off To is just a series of me. I made 30-minute episodes of me drawing, working on a piece, and talking in this really low, calm voice about any and everything. And there's like smooth jazz music playing in the background. And the goal of it is to put you to sleep. So it was for anybody who had trouble sleeping, insomnia, things like that. Or if you just want to like chill and listen to my voice. I always got compliments on my voice. So that was what made me like do it. And it was really good for a while. I haven't done it in a long time just because artwork slowed down in the next year due to things I haven't gotten to yet. But I would definitely like to to start that back up again when I can. This was also the year that I got the courage to live stream. So I started streaming on Twitch first, just doing gaming. And then once I got my gaming laptop and I was able to, you know, do PC streams, then I started doing art streams where I would just work on a piece, you know, while I was streaming, obviously. And you guys could watch me get it done in real time. And that's actually now my most popular content on YouTube. Is now I do live streams of me drawing all the time. I'm actually live streaming tonight, so you see me in this outfit. That's the day that I made this video. So here comes the second big art lull of my career. 2021, April to be exact. At this point, the last thing that I had drawn was my crybaby piece, and it was the first piece of the year. I thought it was the first of many, but in April of 2021, I found out that I was pregnant. And those first few months, you know, with morning sickness and exhaustion, I was not working on art at all. And that kind of just became a permanent thing for that year. I just didn't draw at all for the rest of that year. Not anything. Crybaby is my only piece from 2021. I didn't draw at all in 2021 after I found out I was pregnant. And also, I wasn't posting on YouTube because I didn't have any art content to post. So I pretty much took a year break from my art business and YouTube. Well, actually, I took a 2-year break from my art business because in 2022, I was also not selling my art. I started drawing again in 2022. I bought an iPad in March, and I started learning digital art, yet another medium. I love learning new mediums as an artist. I think we should always just constantly be learning new things and just, you know, I feel like I reinvented myself and rebranded, and I'm still a color pencil artist. I'm still a chalk artist, but digital artist is just another thing that I'm adding to my resume. So for the past year, because now it's been a year since I started doing digital art, for the past year, I've just been working on it, trying to master it. And I feel like I found my style. I found like, I'm doing the art that I want to create. I'm loving it. I'm having fun. I'm being creative. I really, really enjoy digital art. Now, when I say digital art was even easier than learning chalk pastel, which was easier than learning color pencil, which was easier than learning like, it's like it just gets easier and easier and easier. But I feel like that's because I think it's much easier to learn digital art when you're already a traditional artist, especially if you use pencils or pens or markers or anything like that. That's similar to a iPad pencil or Apple Pencil. I think it's going to be way easier than, you know, somebody who only knows digital art trying to switch to traditional. It's like everything that you have to buy and or mix or come up with yourself is already right there in the iPad. You know, all the different types of brushes, different materials, colors, everything is already there. So you just have to know how to draw. As far as digital art, my thing is digital oil paintings. That's all I've been doing. I tried something different at first and it just wasn't me and it wasn't working out. And so I decided to like experiment and find what did work. And it turns out digital oil paintings are my thing. So I started something new. And then at the end of 2022, I ended something, which is, I don't want to say end, but I took a leave from Black Artist Space. I just felt like for the past few years, it hadn't been making me as happy as it was before. It wasn't lucrative as it was before. And it just was not going well. It was one of those things that you keep trying to make work. You keep coming up with solutions for, and nothing is working. And I can't afford to put all my time and energy into making something into doing something that's not making me any money right now, because I'm a single stay-at-home mom and I have to be making money. And I tried for 3 years, because 3 years ago was when I started having issues with it. I tried for 3 years just to make it work, and it hadn't been working. And I was getting to this point where I felt like I need to let something go in order for something better to come in. And I just had like an epiphany in December where I was like, Black artist space is the thing that I need to let go. She's still mine. She's gonna always be mine. I'm taking her to the grave with me. It's never gonna belong to anybody else. And there's still, you know, a chance that it will be a thing again. But for now, until further notice, Black artist space is over. You know, I cried about it when I was like thinking about making the decision, because it's hard. It was a part of my life for 8 years, you know, a huge part of my life for 8 years. It was what I woke up and did, you know, as soon as I woke up every day. So it was tough. It was a tough decision. But once I made the decision and I started thinking about, okay, starting 2023 off, you know, brand new life, no Black artist space, it immediately felt like a weight was being lifted off my shoulders. So I knew I was making the right decision. I decided that I needed to start pouring back into my own art, because I have been pouring into other people's art for so long and mine wasn't going anywhere. So 2023, I started up my art business again, started selling my art again after 2 years of not selling it. Got my business plan together, my work schedule, you know, my content creation schedule, and just putting out art back to back to back, and really working on building my brand. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm running my art business, trying to get to the point where I can live off of my art. So first month didn't go so well. Second month went much better. So I know I'm making progress. As long as I keep making progress, that's all that matters to me. So that's where I'm at now. 10 years later, I am starting my art business all over again. It's crazy. It's kind of full circle. I'm also working on an art book, which is something that I wanted to do years ago, but I didn't really have the portfolio to do it. But now I do. So I'm working on my art book. I'm hoping to put that out later this year. And that's where I'm at. You know, I'm in my art studio right now. Things look a lot differently than they did when I first started out. You know, I started out drawing with 2 graphite pencils on this cheap little drawing pad that I got from the dollar store, and drawing on my bed. My bed was my desk. So, you know, the paper is going down into the bed every time I'm drawing. That's where I started, and this is where I am now. So I feel really good about where my art career is going. It's been a slow process, but we gonna get there. I haven't even hit my peak yet, and that's exciting. So I can't wait to see what the future holds. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was kind of like educational for those of you who are just starting out, or like interested in starting an art business, or even if you're not interested in the business part but you're just starting drawing. I don't know, hopefully it can be an inspiring story and doesn't stress you out, but gives you kind of like a realistic point of view of what can happen. So yeah, if you did like this video, if you enjoyed my 10 years of art experience story, please leave a like, comment. I love comments, as long as you're not a bastard. And yeah, just let me know what you think. All right guys, I will see y'all in the next video, where I will be rating my top 10 most viewed drawings on YouTube. Bye.